Welcome everyone to The Eighth Plot, a channel devoted to your favourite stories and discovering new ones. Today's video is a what if video. As usual, I'm joined by Scott and Ben. Say hello, fellas. They just looked at each other and go, "Oh no, after you, sir." Ben, how about you?
Hello.
And Scott?
Hello. We're far too polite.
Perfect. We rehearsed this 10 times before and we still got it wrong. Oh well. Joining me to discuss what we would do if we were put into a fictional universe, and then discuss the what if question the universe asks and see if we can answer it in a different way. You both all right? Welcome to both of you as well.
I'm very well.
I'm
Thanks
very
for having
well
me.
too.
Having a good week. Last video is doing well.
Woohoo! Half
Jurassic
term.
Park. Go check out Jurassic Park and Iron Man videos we did. Oh yeah, half term's over.
No, I've still got another week.
Some people are so lucky.
Ben's a child, which means he's still at school.
Yes. And this is actually supposed... I know it's not coming out on Halloween, but we decided to do a sort of horror-ish movie that we thought that we could...
That's a bit of a stretch.
And yeah, it is a stretch, because today we're in the Monsters, Inc. universe and the Monsters U universe.
Excluding, what was it?
The TV
Monsters, Inc.
series,
TV
because
series.
none of us have watched that.
Apart from me, I've watched it. It's very good.
But if you think of Monsters University and Monsters Inc., that's the universe we're in.
And one continuing timeline, rather than split into two.
Yes, and forget the TV series because we haven't watched it.
Yep.
And the way this will work today is Ben will use his time in the universe to do good things.
Yes.
Yes. Which is why he's represented as both Mike Wazowski and Sully today. Their picture. Yeah, there it is. Good.
Woohoo!
So they're the good guys in the Monsters Inc. franchise. I think that's clear cut. They are the good guys. And Scott, who will be using his time in the universe to be bad and do selfish things, or help the villains if he so chooses, is represented by Randall, shapeshifting.
Shape?
No, not shapeshifting. Camouflaging. That's more accurate.
Monster chameleon.
Thank you, fellas. That's thanks for correcting me.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Crucially, they will be doing all of this using their innate knowledge of the universe, having watched it and remembered as much as they can from it, and to achieve things that the protagonists and the antagonists can't. I, as the neutral observer, will be represented by the only character who is always watching. Roz.
Like the Watcher from the Marvel
That was
universe.
probably not a very good impression.
That was very good.
That was awful.
Always watching, Wazowski.
That's
Okay,
better.
stop.
That's
Stop.
better.
Okay, stop.
You're
Sorry.
embarrassing yourself.
I think
It's
the
not
microphone
working
just broke. Again. Anyway, I will be pointing out the flaws in their various plans as well. We'll be chatting about it. But before we begin, fellas, what do you think of the Monsters Inc. and Monsters University?
Love it!
Ben loves it.
Very good.
It is
Monsters
very
Inc. is far better than University, I thought, but as a whole, it's very good.
I would tend to agree with that. I don't think Monsters U is out of place in it all, but
It had big shoes to fill,
yes.
and because of the success of Monsters Inc., but I think it did well.
But I enjoyed how they did it.
I can't remember how many years. So Monsters University was 2013.
Oh, Monsters Inc. was about 2001, 2003.
I think it
was
was
2002, I think.
2002. So there was,
That is
unlike,
as
it's not like Incredibles where there was a massive time, 10 years almost. But, you know, it had big shoes to fill, as you say. And I didn't hate the story. I think it was interesting how both arcs in both films are somewhat separate from one another.
Yeah.
Like, even though U is a prequel and it's obviously after Monsters Inc. is, it's sort of, that arc for Mike and Sully is good, and it sort of doesn't reoccur. It doesn't need to reoccur in Monsters Inc. They don't have to cover it again.
Yeah.
And it's a different arc, isn't it? It's all about...
I think with Pixar films, they've got this thing of leaving it a while and sort of coming back to a prequel, almost like they did with Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. Even though Finding Dory happened afterwards, the storyline of Finding Dory happened beforehand. If that makes sense.
A little bit.
But then I might just be talking rubbish there.
Just doing a sequel to a well-loved film is something that people will go over because of nostalgia, and it's a cash grab, but it's also a good.
They did well with it. Yeah. I liked how. Spoiler alert. Obviously for the whole thing.
Obviously,
Randall isn't a bad guy, and he sort of becomes one because he gets jealous of their.
I think we can call him a bad guy.
He's not
Monsters Inc.
No, Monsters Inc. But not Monsters U. Sorry.
Well, no, but like
he was just geeky guy with glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that's his origin to becoming a villain.
Yeah, but I thought that was a good setup. I can see how he became the person he did from that.
More of a rivalry rather than like born evil.
Yeah. one of the things I never, the only thing like the biggest complaint I have about Monsters University, that it's called Monsters University, and this is because the whole film has like an American feel to it.
Yep.
Why wasn't it called Monsters College? Almost they all talk about college as being like university is a British. Well, it's not really a British thing, but we all say, "Hey, we went to university after high school," and they say, "We went to college after high school." Why is it called Monsters College?
Well, because here we have, what is it, primary, secondary, sixth form or college, and then university.
Ah, yeah.
Whereas they have, I don't know, kindergarten, then middle school, then high school.
Sophomore years and things like that.
Yeah, and then university.
Yeah.
/ college, because they call it the same thing.
See, that's the problem. College is the word that I'm going off on a tangent.
Big tangent.
But also, for its time, people because it gets lost in a whole load of other Pixar films. The computer generated technology that went into it is amazing.
Yeah.
Like Sully's
Yes.
individual hairs all over his body were animated to perfection, and they look so like it's a step up from whatever film was before it in the sort of. Actually, I have no idea what the film before it was.
But
I'm gonna look up Pixar Animation Studios now and see. But if I can just get a comparison between the film.
But even then, even though Monsters Inc. was in 2002, it's not exactly bad animation, is it?
No, it's very good animation for its time and now.
It's actually only 6 years after Toy Story, and Toy Story is actually sometimes hard to watch, the original film, because the computer, like Andy, oh my goodness, like
yes,
and every kid who comes to his birthday is the same character with different things.
I'm pretty sure
any human is an abomination.
I'm pretty sure
in Toy Story.
I'm pretty sure Andy and that child robot looks very similar in both these films.
Do you mean the doll head?
Yes, that's what I mean. The scare robot. Yeah,
the doll's head looked more lifelike more human than Andy and his mum.
I feel like that does work in like Sid's favour and making him like more menacing.
Yeah, but I've watched a few videos like talking about again another tangent, but Sid isn't like I don't really hate Sid when you think about it for a while because I used to do the things he did. I took toys apart and put them together in different ways.
I
thought I was being creative. It turns out I'm an evil, heartless mastermind or something, and I didn't like that. And then later on, and fair play to Sid, he got a job as a garbage man. He loved his job.
Allegedly.
Well, it's kind of
two people can have the same shirt, Mark.
Yeah.
I admit that. I apologise.
So you're wrong.
So I was wrong about that.
Allegedly.
But it's only I'm looking at the list now. It only comes after Toy Story 2, and I think everything computer generated wise improved massively.
Yeah.
An excellent technical achievement as opposed to just that's Monsters Inc. I'm talking about. Monsters U obviously benefited from another 10 years of near perfect technology going forward.
Monsters Inc. had one of my all-time favourite animation scenes. You know that door scene where all these doors are filling along.
Oh, that is
such a good scene.
That is good. Like. Yeah, it's all they're on like a monorail kind of system, and they're all flashing down. They all jump.
It is one of my favourite animation scenes.
I think it's one of the best like third act set pieces in movie. I think.
And fun fact, I'm pretty sure You've Been Framed did their intro title based on that.
Oh, I see everything sliding into place, and the one. Yeah, I mean, in that scene, if I was going to nitpick, which I will now, is how Sully can go through a door and come out. Go to another house, go through that door, and end up closer. That's considering that there look like there's trillions of doors there. No, billions.
Billions. Come on.
That is maybe the only like kind of slight flaw in that scene.
But I don't care. I'm nitpicking, but I watched it and thought that's fun.
But
that's amazing.
It's fun.
It's a good use of. It's one of those good uses of the technology and the premises in the film.
Well, that's what you reminded me of. Is that scene when they jump through the door, but they land on their back,
and
they land up in France.
Oh yes. They got a lot out of the premise that they started with, and My one other problem with Monsters Inc. universe, other than what I said before about it being a college instead of university, because ignore that. There's this yellow slug in Monsters U who he spends an entire school year going from his dorm, presumably, to the first classroom. And he
not even from his dorm, from the pavement outside.
And presumably everything in the film is happening around him as he's going like that, no legs, just going like that. And he gets to the classroom, and the janitor's there, and he goes, "You missed it all, mate." And then the guy just goes and turns around. And one of my problems with that is
Poor
that
guy.
yeah, there's no one ever like stops and goes, "Where are you going, mate?" And I go, "I'm trying to go to my class." "Oh, well, you're a bit early. It's lunchtime." "No, my first ever class." and no one ever thinks just to like, "Okay, look, here's a tray with wheels. Get on this, and I'll push you to your class." So I mean, that guy spent loads of money on student loans to go to Monsters University, and as we know, in America, student loans is an entire catastrophe. Like they should be cancelling all student debt, and because I'm thinking that Monsters U must be an American sort of Monsters University area.
They don't have American accents.
Yeah, it's just like they just left that guy, and he got there, and that's a waste of school money.
Also,
and he never got his degree.
I know.
And
Also,
he went back home. He tried then for another year. He presumably went back to the pavement to catch the bus, and we got there a year later. That's 2 school years. I hate that.
There's also a bit in Monsters Inc. where there's this jelly slug that goes on and then just falls through the grates in the.
And don't do anything.
No, he's just left there with some dentures and some glasses.
Yeah, Mike just walk on.
But then, like we see in Monsters Inc., there's the janitor. Slug, who's like mopping up the stuff.
Oh, it's him
do you
as
remember?
well.
No, different guy. He actually is like a slug.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the tentacles. He's got eyes like 4 eyes here.
Okay.
But he moves relatively quickly. So like presumably like that slug in university is just like doesn't know how to move yet because he's.
But it's still it's one of those things that just always bothered me. They just left him. It's a good gag.
Yeah,
it's that guy's whole school year. I mean, imagine if you spent your entire school year going from your pavement where you got the bus to university, all towards your first class.
Not only did he have to get the bus, he had to get to the bus stop, or get from his house to the bus stop to get off the bus to get onto university.
It's taken ages getting off the bus, but it's like, why does no one help him? Anyway, that's just another problem I have with it.
Maybe there's like an ejector thing on the bus.
All I'm saying is, if I was one of you doing the good stuff in the Monsters Inc. universe, then I would help that slug as well.
Sorry,
that's all I'm saying. Like any other thoughts on like? Do you
be interested?
Oh, did they ever like TV series? Is one thing which I've never seen. Was there any hint of a third film anywhere along the line somewhere?
Yeah,
there was.
I heard there was one where there was going to be a sequel where Sully and Mike went to see Boo for her birthday.
Yeah.
But then, like, when they went through the door, they saw this like old lady tied to life support and stuff.
So she moved.
Or they thought that. So they thought that she moved, and then like they went round the human world trying to find her.
That's good.
Which could have been like quite fun, but then like I think then they found out that was Boo.
What?
And like human time goes a lot faster.
That is incredibly. There's a time dilation effect, and wait. That's sadder than the beginning of Up. That's
don't get me started on Up. Up is tragic. It made me cry.
We will. We might do.
You've
Up.
never seen Up?
Well, I've seen it.
How dare
I
you?
didn't. I got too scared at the end and I'd left.
We could do Up one day.
Everything turns out okay in Up. So.
But we'll get to that another time. But anyway, that's really sad. But in a sense, I kind of want to see that film now. I feel what a heartstrings.
I heard.
Then her granddaughter is the one they approach. It's the same. She's the same kind of kid.
Interesting.
And that would be a nice circle back to it.
But I heard. I've not seen Brave, but I've heard Boo is actually the old lady in Brave because she carved these things out of wood that apparently somewhat resemble Mike and Sully.
Is it an Easter egg or is it? Or is that, she got transported to Scotland?
We never actually hear her voice, so for all we know, she could be Scottish.
All we hear is Kitty. So
Mike Wazowski!
In Scottish. Can you do that in the Scottish accent?
Mike Wazowski!
well, and suddenly she's turned into a 6 foot tall bearded Scottishman. That's that voice that I'm imagining. I mean, she can if she wants, but it's like, how did that? Well done. That was good though. Then that was the best Boo the Scottish accent that you will only hear on this podcast. You'll get that on no other podcast.
You heard it here first.
No one would ever think of that.
You know what I was trying to say.
Right. So that's good. We love the Monsters Inc. universe. I love Monsters Inc. the film.
It was a very good film.
And I think it's not the first to do it, but I think I did it after Bugs Life and Toy Story 2. The what's it called? The cutscenes not deleted scenes at the end.
Oh, those deleted scenes are so funny.
Yeah, their deleted scenes are some of the best out of all the Pixar films.
Just have all these monsters running along and then all topple over each other.
That's the one I was thinking of.
And then they use Rex in one of them as well.
Yeah. Also, the fact that they animated all of those just to be in the credits is like
that's why that's what makes those credits. Do you know how Marvel would force you to sit through boring credits to see something that sometimes never matters at all? But at least Pixar force you to sit through the credits by getting more gags.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
We get to see put that thing back where it came from. Also,
help me. Yes.
So help me.
Why did they ever make that film?
Well, I want to see that musical theatre show.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm glad we like it because it makes this whole podcast episode easier. So, right, just a little bit more admin to do before we begin. So, a couple of rules that you have to obey. You have to enter the universe at the earliest chronological point, ignoring prologues. So, in Monsters U, for example, there's a little prologue of Mike Wazowski detailing his life's goals and career path. You can't go there. That's too early.
As in, when he's like a child.
Yeah, that's a prologue. We're going to skip that. So you have to enter the universe as a normal character, but in this case, I'll allow you to be a monster, like a background monster. If you want to design the shape of your monster and what you look like, that's fine. Scott, do you have an idea of what your monster would look like?
I do. So in Monsters University, I can't remember what his name was, but there's this character he's very thin and very tall, but he's got two heads in yellow. With lots of arms. Terry and Terry. That's Terry with an I and Terry with a Y. That's the character I'm going to base off because I think that's.
Ben, is there a monster you base yourself off?
I have just been put on the spot about this, but
I think Ben would be Scott Squidgy.
No, I am incredibly offended.
I don't know. I can't. I don't know. It's hard to picture yourself as a monster. I mean, I'd be a really sort of short monster.
Yeah, Scott Squidgy.
You could be Mike Wazowski, kind of.
No, I don't want to be Mike Wazowski. No. Like no depth perception because he's only got one eye. I can't live without my depth perception. We'll get back to that. Maybe we'll get back to that later then. But Scott's got his idea. So you can be a normal monster. You don't have to be human in this case. You can't tell characters the future. You have to manipulate events or be sneaky to make something useful happen for yourself or for other people. We've swapped around who's selfish and selfless. This week it's Scott who's the selfish one and Ben is the selfless one. Playing that today. Your goal is the good obviously has to make things more positive, and the bad guy has to just make things work for himself or the better villains. I'll give you a reasonable amount of starting resources. You'll be in clothing specific to the era. Although I think some of these monsters are naked. Wait, now that I think about it, most of them are naked throughout this. That's haunting.
Don't think about it. Don't think.
I will try not to. Considering the range.
Just like Howard the Duck, not Howard the Duck. Donald Duck. How he wears a shirt but wears a towel around his waist.
Yeah, but it's like I said, haunting.
These are kids' films.
But if you want to manipulate the universe to get more resources for your schemes, that's fine too. Right, I think that's all the rules. By virtue of a coin toss we did later, Ben will go first. So Ben.
Later we implied we will do it. Earlier means we have done it.
Yes, we've done the coin toss.
But you said later.
We're professionals. We do this before we start, and then randomly chat about it during the podcast.
But you said later,
which is killing time.
You said later.
He said later. So Ben, you're the good guy. What do you do to make the Monsters Inc. or universe better? You can lose.
Okay. So at the moment, I've just been dropped into Monsters University, and I'm going to say that I'm getting off the bus.
Oh yeah, for the first day.
Yeah,
Freshers Week.
First day, woohoo!
Whatever they call it in America. Yep.
Yeah. Freshman.
Freshers Week is Freshers Week is what it is in you get like a week to acclimatise the whole point of university.
If you're American, type it down in the comments.
Exactly. Please do. I'll ignore it.
Educate us on your wrong education system.
Oh, hang on. We love you in America.
We do, but you're wrong. You're just wrong.
This is why you're the villain, Scott.
Driving the wrong side of the road. Sorry.
They're technically on the right side of the road because Germans were the first person to get the car, so they get to decide. I'm just saying.
I want to tell my story, Mark.
And back to Ben. History lesson.
Okay, so I am now a freshman in Freshers Week.
It's not called that in America. Just say First semester.
Okay, I'm in my first semester, and so what I want to do is I want to get an internship at Monsters Incorporated.
Okay.
So it can't be that hard because of what we see in Monsters Inc. with the janitors are clearly teenagers, and they are complete
nincompoops.
Yeah,
they're being generous.
Idiots is a better
so
word.
Hang on, you're going to skip Monsters.
I'm going to skip university.
So so really you're starting at the beginning of the Monsters Inc. film.
Yeah, so
Sully and Mike are whatever they are, middle aged. I don't know how old they are really.
I don't know how old all these monsters are really.
We're going to say like mid-20s,
Mid-20s,
maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So the events of Monsters U have happened. You don't care about those.
Yeah,
you're jumping in the Monsters Inc.
Worst thing that happens in Monsters University is like there's a tournament and there's some mean people who get put in their place.
The daily life of a university student.
Yeah, it's like,
in some universities.
Get paint thrown over yourself. Yeah, it happens.
You freak out a robotic child. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Join a fraternity.
Yeah, so I become an intern at Monsters Incorporated, and so I know that. So I've now got access to everything in that area.
Yeah.
And my main goal is to show the world that laughing is better than screams.
Yes.
So, but I'm not a scarer, so I can't go into.
You're just a janitor.
Yeah, but what I'm going to do. So I know full well that like some of the monsters have got really girly screams.
That's true because they freak out whenever a kid.
Yeah.
But by the way, we're not implying that all girls. Like I've heard men scream.
Yeah.
I can scream.
I have to be a little woke and say that the girly scream is
2021, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's 2021. So
Sorry.
we'll say the high pitched scream.
Okay.
It belongs to lots of people.
Even
me, I think.
Yes.
When you get laughing.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've got plenty of equipment. From being So like I'll just get some kind of sharp object.
Yes. How's this
Sounds
going? He's the good guy, remember?
or maybe like a broom. And as a monster is starting to scare. Or going into a door to scare.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. So hang on, maybe I don't see this here.
I do. It's incredible.
I'm just gonna open the door and hit them on the back of the head.
So hang on, a professional screamer is like, right, time to do my 9 to 5 job. He opens the door when he goes in, and while the technician, like the Mike Walkowski of the thing, is, and presumably Mike and Sully are down the line, you sneak through the door and whack the monster over the head with a broom. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Scott.
Fun.
He's just imagining that happening. I'm doing it too, and it's fun.
And yeah, so the child who has been awoken by the monster sees that and bursts out laughing.
Yes,
because that would be very funny.
Yeah.
And that laughing destroys the canister on the outside because, as we see at the end of the movie, they need bigger canisters to support it all.
Because the laughter is 10 times more powerful, something like that.
Yeah. So like then the monster.
Yes, it is 10 times. Sorry.
Yeah.
The monster. We both leave, and I'll slip out or something.
So the monster whose job it was to scare, is like, who hit me around the head? But the other technician is now going, that laughter did something weird.
Yeah. So like everybody will be like, what the heck? A canister just exploded.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're going to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
What was different? And then boom, they figure it out.
You could actually, if you managed to sneak back in without being seen, you could then go, I saw it all. The child laughed, and the laughter was
so I could
10 times more powerful.
I could claim credit for it, and that gets me like some. I'd get like some kind of.
You talk to Waternoose.
Yeah, I'd be like. Waternoose doesn't need to kidnap children and make the scream extractor, was it?
Yeah, I think it was. Just a Hoover, I suppose.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best technology.
We should recreate that scene with a Hoover.
No. That would be weird.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be funny, depending on who we did it to, I suppose.
Scott. Okay, and yeah, boom. Nothing Randall and
Doesn't need to do it.
Doesn't need to do that, and
But he's still a jerk. So
well, yeah.
But he's not in jail.
Maybe
you saved him from going to jail.
Maybe Randall is the monster that I hit right there.
Yeah, that works. That works too.
I mean,
but will you see
change colour?
Camouflage?
No, because like I can see his eyes.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah, his eyes are always hovering.
And his teeth. Yeah.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they
No,
are.
they're not.
Appearing now on the screen will be a picture proving that. And if that picture doesn't appear, I was wrong, and I shouldn't have done this in post.
No, because when he closes his eyes, he can't be seen. But when he opens his eyes and mouth, his teeth and eyes can be seen.
Maybe I'll give it to you.
Yeah, make a note of that, Mark.
Yes, I'm making a note of it now.
And yeah.
Randall.
but yeah, boom! I've saved everyone, and like
yeah, very simply as well.
Surely you wouldn't get reported to HR for just assaulting another monster.
Well, your thing is that you got away with it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, why don't you just be a monster who can also camouflage themselves?
Yeah, I could be like Randall's son or something.
Who clobbers his dad over the head.
Yeah, that means it'll be okay.
Your father-son relationship is
it is funny at the end of Monsters Inc. where Randall gets beaten up.
Yeah,
it is very funny.
He changes colour every time he gets hit, so
yes.
like that adds to.
That's true.
Okay, your plan works. I think. Like from now on,
But he's a janitor or something. He's not only got to sneak onto the scare floor.
No, you don't have to sneak on. I mean, like
you
can already be on the scare floor.
Yeah, those two teenage janitors were like
they always run onto destroyed doors.
That's true. I'll take it.
That's true. Yeah. So if you were a camouflaging monster, although that seems like I can't give you. You can't be the camouflaging monster. You're gonna just have to be really sneaky.
That's fine.
Because that's not a normal. That's too powerful in this case. But I could imagine you sneaking in, causing the child to laugh, and getting out, and then going. Yeah, there's no need for screams anymore. You've saved Walter News is still going to be president of the company.
Yeah, with his afro.
With his afro?
He can regrow his afro.
Sorry, is it at the beginning of Monsters U when they go to incorporate at the very end of the film?
At the very end, at the very end, there's like the collage of pictures through his locker. There's one of them meeting him with an afro and a moustache.
Maybe he lost his hair because the ink monster was going down. Because of all the stress of the fact that scares weren't working anymore, and then he regrows it. I don't know about saving his career though, because he clearly was
I can always I could tell Roz what he's planning.
That's true.
I could hint.
You could not tell Roz. That is against the rules.
No, I could.
No.
I could.
Talk, oh no, yeah, you can't.
I could talk to Roz is like HR.
No, she's like the. She's a receptionist.
She's an undercover.
She's undercover for basically the CIA of the Monsters Inc.
Her role.
Child
detection agency. I think.
She wasn't a receptionist. I think she was like just an admin.
She has
secretary.
She has all of the. She has all of the like files on the kids. And
librarian, maybe.
And, yeah, so like they've already built the tunnel and stuff. Oh, like there is a secret tunnel.
Yes,
there's a case already been working.
I could. Already,
so you could show that Walter News was going to do this, and then you take charge of Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
I like this because then just down the line, Sully is now. There's a flaw. I didn't realise what it is.
Yeah.
Like Mike was at the end of Monsters Inc. He's proved to be a comedic genius.
Yeah.
So by you discover, I suppose he will still be a comedic genius.
He's already a very funny person. So
no, but Sully didn't have any problem with that at the end of the film anyway.
No.
So basically, Monsters Inc. will still switch to laughter, and Sully will eventually discover he's no good at making people laugh. And then they'll just have to reverse roles. And
I could just be like, "Hey, Sully, do you want my role since your dad was like the top scarer or something?"
Right. Yeah, you could promote. You could get him promoted. Actually, no, hang on. You've taken the idea away from Sully. Was the one who came out. You denied Sully his discovery. So you're the good guy.
yeah, but like
maybe the monster you should whack around the head is Sully, and then you can.
If you want to be eaten.
No, it's not. No, none of the monsters are monsters.
No,
they're all just humans who look the way they look. That's no problem.
That's true.
I wouldn't mind being one of the monsters.
No, it'd be great.
It's a very diverse. It's a very diverse culture. It's like it's a model for our society. It's always because they all look like there's a giant one.
Yeah.
Crying out loud. There's and how does he fit into the world? But somehow he must because he's got a job. And he fits into the world, so yeah, it's good.
I mean, only see his leg.
It's a progressive society.
It is.
And he sounds like a chicken.
Except
apart from that jelly guy, he gets sucked down into the ground.
But I think Ben managed to solve it.
Ben.
I mean,
you mean Ben?
Ben, that's what I said. Oh no, I'm asking you if you think he solved it.
Yeah. So
I mean, you
Scott.
You could have started earlier in the Monsters U universe.
Yeah,
I mean, you would have eliminated the scare program and got those teachers out of a job, but that would have meant years of children not being traumatized.
Yeah, I could have started then, and like it would still probably work.
Yes.
It's just like
you could just go and work for Monsters Inc. Earlier at the Monsters U phase, and then reenact what your whole plan just then. Because I think it's important. I think you'd agree, Ben, that as soon as children no longer have to be scared, things get better.
Yeah, because like one thing that the Monsters Inc. doesn't talk about is like traumatized children on the other side of the doors.
We'll talk about that.
And we'll come back to that
later as well, because that's an interesting point. But well done, Ben. You've done it. Good on you. The only flaw is perhaps maybe Sully and Mike's relationship changes. The dynamic changes a bit down the line. They never meet Boo. He never forms a friendship with Boo. That's okay. Yeah, she'll forget him anyway.
She doesn't
Boo
see
was
him
kidnapped.
She only sees him because Randall tries to kidnap her.
Yeah. She doesn't get.
There's because Mike needs to go on date night.
I mean, even though they were friends at the end, there's probably some trauma there when she was scared by Mike and when that Hoover tried to. The scream sucking machine.
Yeah, and when Sully was.
It's probably best that she doesn't have that and she just lives a normal life. So well done.
Well done.
Job complete. Let's move on to Scott. Scott, you're the evil guy.
Yes.
What's your plan for?
I think it's more selfish evil, I would say.
Okay, that's fine.
Is one of
that's
the
your
roles,
brief.
yes.
That is true. So anyway, I go to uni, but what I study science and business. Well, I study business, but I study science sort of as a side
gig.
A
side hustle.
So I study business, obviously, to know how business runs, and study science, so I can actually study the hypothesis. Big science word there. That laugh is more powerful than scream.
So you come up with the hypothesis?
Yes, I do.
So you're gonna. Oh, I see. Okay.
What makes you think that?
Yeah. How do you have to demonstrate to people that? Where did you get this idea from? You gotta have a.
Yeah, because like you'd get laughed at because.
funny joke.
Yeah, because like all the monsters would be like, no, scaring works. I mean, like you're crazy.
I can understand you being able to prove your hypothesis, but where did you come up with this idea from?
Yeah, that's just I don't know.
It came to me.
It just came to me in a dream. But
like all good scientists,
exactly.
They dream these things.
Yeah, but I sort of keep myself to myself at uni. I don't really get involved with anyone else.
Okay.
But then I see the job application for the mailroom, and I apply for that instead of Mike and Sully. So they don't.
You clip them to the post.
Exactly.
You know, they got the job because there was they needed help. So like they would probably employ loads of people. So Mike and Sully would probably.
So you might get hired at the same time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, but I've got a business degree, so I win.
Hang on a minute, slight flaw. If you don't mind.
I do mind.
I think the first year of college, Mike and Sully leave, and then they go at the mailroom. If you're going to complete your university time, it's going to, let's say, another 2 years later, you've got your business degree. So they've got 2 years ahead. They've been at Mount Monsters Inc. 2 years ahead of you.
So they've probably gone to the cleaning and to the catering already.
That's why I've got a business degree. They have nothing. So I'm already winning, so I can get a better
job. So you think you'll get a better job rather than... Okay,
higher up.
I think we have to agree that that's a possibility. Yeah. So yes, so you enter the company, they've been there a couple of years.
Exactly.
You went to the company at a more top-level position.
And I wait a few years, I let things happen, I progress. But then the scare crisis happens. They run out of energy.
Yeah.
But so I go to the board of directors because there is a board of directors. Because yes, Waterloo says it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I go to the board of directors.
You get a meeting with them.
So exactly. I said, well, I've got this idea. I did it in university. I throw my research at them and go, here, just try it. Just try it.
Yeah, but the thing is that they probably wouldn't try that without any kind of evidence.
I have my.
You could have research.
I've got a research paper.
Maybe you got hold of a door at university and tested the whole laughing thing out.
Yeah, but like they probably wouldn't allow you to do that because they wouldn't want to risk it not working and the Monsters University.
Did it in secret?
I do it in secret.
Okay. Like midnight, the universities. They're focusing on that tournament that's happening with Mike and Sully and Randall and all the other
Every
things.
single
So
monster.
why they're all doing that? You're on the dark side of the university, going through a door, making a kid laugh, and proving it works.
And as long as they don't cause any major issues, the alarm won't go off.
In fact, we know that there's no real issue. Even if you touch the child, there's no problem. Human children aren't infectious. It's just a myth by the monster Illuminati to prevent.
just like that character at the very beginning. Yeah. She did it with my. They touched it with my mum or whatever.
And Jack, where it was in that scene, which is a theory. Go look that up. But yeah, so I think he could get the research if he did it quick, like on the sly at university. He's got 3 years to do it.
But before that, before I go to the board of directors, I invest all my life savings into stocks into Monsters Inc.
Okay.
The stocks are at its lowest rate. There's a scare shortage.
Oh, but actually, does the population of the monsters world know that there's a scare shortage?
Well, yeah.
So there's like a news broadcast.
There was.
It's like the petrol shortage.
But I thought Water News was keeping that under wraps.
No, he didn't want any more bad publicity.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. So people are aware there's a scare shortage.
Yeah. So the stocks are plummeting, right? There's no scare. So I invest everything.
Yeah.
But then I go to them with my scream, my laugh idea. Sorry.
Yeah.
They will hopefully just try it out once. That's all they need to know. Just try it out once.
Gets proved.
Exactly, gets proven.
You should get a patent for any design.
That was actually my next idea. So before you say, "Oh well, you didn't have a patent," I got it went down, so I win.
Because they're greedy capitalists, Scott. They're going to try and steal your idea.
Exactly. Yeah. They try. The laugh is 10 times more effective than laughs. I say you should probably get rid of Mr. Waternoose. He got us into this mess. So you should
he's lost his afro. He's not good anymore.
I've got this business degree.
His taste in waistcoats is terrible.
Exactly. I've got this business degree.
They're not actually. They're brilliant waistcoats.
They are brilliant waistcoats.
I love waistcoats.
But I've got a business degree. So I could just become like a manager or something.
So they make you the new CFO, CEO, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Corporate. I don't know.
No, it'd be CEO.
Well, I'm sure there's never mind. We're going off a tangent. But I'm sure CFO is a thing.
There is.
I just no idea what it stands for.
No.
But CEO, that's probably correct.
Yeah. Something like that. And then the stocks start rising again because there's no longer an entry stock shortage. I then sell all my stocks and become a rich man.
Yeah, you're the inventor of the laughter power system. You're the
I look like a genius.
CEO of the most important company in the Monsters universe. No, just the Monsters universe, and and you're rich from stocks that you're in. So
I win.
You win.
I do have
a contingency. I just get an internship, and then I convince Mike and Sully to go to musical theatre.
I like where this is going. Please continue.
And then after hearing the song, put that thing back, came far. Oh, so help me! And cut.
Yeah, but
I convinced them to go to musical theatre for no reason.
And they produce that.
Yeah.
And then you've kind of given them a little edge.
Exactly.
So now they can be theatre stars.
Exactly.
Is Boo in the picture at that time? Or
I don't think
it's a contingency, it doesn't matter.
If he does the introduction of this the laughter thing, Randall doesn't need to kidnap Boo at all.
No, but then the Boo.
But I would fire Randall.
Yes.
Yeah, Boo only.
Randall, you're a jerk.
He's a liability.
Yeah, but the song only comes because they were arguing about putting Boo in a door.
Oh,
that's
true.
why it's a contingency.
They'll never think of that.
That's why it's a contingency.
You could maybe set them up to do it, like you manipulate things. So Mike has to
just
say,
put that thing back.
Yeah, also help me. And then you go, and then you're passing by having manipulated them in the situation. You go, that would make a great musical, and then you walk off.
That's my idea.
I'll fund that, and then you run back. I'll fund that.
How does that come naturally? Though?
I don't know. I can't. I'm
what
trying
thing
to.
back quick?
I'm CFO or whatever.
Well, hang on. No, there is a way to do it. There's no reason why Boo wouldn't still enter the universe, even if it's laughter. She could have, Mike goes in to make her laugh, and then she sneaks back with him, and there would still be all that chaos with 2319 because they haven't resolved that because you've skipped a few things that they're having in the film. They still think that children are contagious, and Rod still wants people to think children are contagious. So you could still have the kind of adventure, and then then you just know to walk by. What's that thing that you've got? No, and then you get Mike to say it the word, and then you've got your musical. You invest in that and make even more millions from the put that thing back. Also help me musical.
You and me. What was your second one?
I don't know.
I can't remember the second one.
Scott's rich and in control.
I have found a flaw in your plan though.
Go on then. Okay. Shoot it at me, Ben.
In your research in university,
yeah.
Where you go on the sly side and go through a door and make a child laugh, you're not that funny.
How dare you? How dare you, Ben? God, I can't stand you, Ben. I thought we were friends. I'd have to tell jokes. You see that Mike?
There must be a joke that you
Mike
can
just
tell.
has to injure himself.
Yeah, you just got to walk in.
Just whap my head on the door or something.
Yeah, and the
monsters don't have to be funny. We see that Mike, Mike just has to.
Like, I'll tell you what you could do. No, that won't work. I was going to say that you could wait. You could make the door open just a little bit, and you listen. Or when the child's watching, I don't know, something funny that's on. It's a topical, cultural touchstone that makes children laugh.
Yes.
And then you record the child laughing from that. You don't. Your flaw is correct. Scott has a hard time being funny. He doesn't.
I'm very funny.
Scott is an incredibly funny person.
Oh, thanks,
yeah.
He does stand up.
Yeah, as proven by the previous 2 episodes of this podcast, which you should go watch.
Yes. Available now.
Yeah.
What was the call?
I was
Scott is a very funny man.
He's a very funny man. So, but you could. There's all other ways. He can use other ways to make people laugh. Ben, I'm sure it's fine. Okay.
Slapstick always works.
But I have a question.
Yes.
What would you do, Mark?
Oh.
That is interesting.
Intriguing. Do I do both good and bad?
Yes, I will give you the options to do both good and bad as a human or as a monster.
I have actually thought about this. And
Interesting.
I'll do my good idea first.
It's almost like this was scripted.
Throwback to an earlier episode. I did not need that, I hope. Anyway. Yeah, so good. I have thought about this. So the good thing I would do, I wouldn't be a monster. I'd be a human. But I'm a human being who knows that monsters are real and are coming into our universe to make children scream and then laugh for the purposes of powering their whole civilization. Which makes me think that this technology, where screaming and laughter can power, because it's real electricity. It doesn't seem like it's magic. It all seems like real tech. There's light bulbs that fizzle. There's TVs. There's phones.
We power your car.
Exactly.
We warm your home.
Exactly.
We light your city.
And it's
Masters Incorporated.
and it's thanks, man. And it's clearly.
Sorry.
He actually voiced that in the film. You don't. Never mind.
Oh.
Ben is a registered voice actor.
Because if you think about it, the screams and laughter are a much more potent source of energy than the nuclear power. You keep in that little yellow canister, and it seems to last for ages, and it's tremendously powerful. Presumably, they filter it through or do something with it afterwards. But if that's I could solve the good thing I could do is I can leave what plays out in the Monsters U to happen, because it's all good in the end. Randall goes to jail, Walton just goes to jail. Mike and Sully are friends in both instances. There's nothing I really need. I don't have to make anyone's life better, because at the end of both films, everyone's life is better.
Yeah. Apart from the abominable snowman.
Yeah, but that's okay.
He got banished, as did Bigfoot, as did
and
the Loch Ness
presumably
Monster.
they deserved it, and probably for serving lemon ice pops, which is terrible.
Slow cones.
I don't like that at all.
Where did you get lemons in the Himalayas?
Yeah,
answer me, Pixar.
There's probably a post somewhere that's so the abominable snowman I don't care about that, so he can stay abominable.
Fine.
Plus that keeps conspiracies going in the real world, which presumably keeps someone busy.
Which turns out are correct.
So what I would try and do, is I guess I would have to somehow get through a door that's suddenly active. So maybe I have to be near a door when a monster comes through, and that's when I sneak in, if I can, and then I'm in then I have to try and grab as much technology and then get it back to the human world, study it, and then I create laughter. So laughter will now power the whole human civilization. That clears up the climate change crisis. Like electric cars can run laughter canisters, which is 10 times more powerful. It's a renewable resource. Like power plants would just be comedy clubs, and we know that adults can power it too. It's not just children. because in Monsters U,
Yeah. They scream. Yeah.
screams about Sully gets a bunch of policemen who are adults to scream.
Well, technically it was Mike. It was Mike's idea,
It was Mike's idea.
as was discussed in the film.
And execution, but it was Sully who was the intimidating
But
figure.
this was all discussed in Monsters University.
So adult laughter also would power it too. So therefore, I've solved the energy crisis and global warming by using the and I'll just say this: the monsters are really not thoughtful. They should be giving us this technology in the first place, because if climate change gets rid of all the humans, then they won't have any scream or laughter source to power their civilization. Like, our survival is their survival. So bad Monsters universe for not helping us out with the energy crisis.
Yeah, it's bad. Boo!
Boo. Boo.
But now
Boo.
I've heard. I've heard.
I just realised that. How stupid am I that they called a boo, which obviously has something to do with scary.
Yeah. Have you just realised that?
I've just realised that.
They called her.
I am a
He
moron.
called her Boo because of the game that they were playing in the toilets.
Oh yes, they didn't know.
And they were like, Boo!
But still, the fact that I never got that until now,
Have you never got? Oh,
it
God.
says a lot about me.
Working with a moron.
So
But
that's what I
anyway,
would do good.
I've heard some of your bad ideas, and one of your bad ideas.
So one of my bad,
A good bad idea.
This is like if I was like evil and I could truly do whatever I wanted.
If he was Scott.
I was If I was the evil, like,
just in general, anyway.
this is dark, but it came to me and I wondered, like, so this is the steps, and please bear with me. So the first thing I'd have to do is like start a babysitting agency. But I would have to stock the agency with like mercenaries, people who can handle themselves against presumably monsters. Okay, you'll understand in a minute. So
sounds a bit creepy so far.
Yeah, it does, but you'll get it. Like, we're not.
Where are you getting all this money?
Well, I can start a babysitting
Yeah,
agency because it's low budget. You just turn. But no, the children are almost insignificant. Like, I'll be a good babysitter. We do. But the idea is, I'm actually doing good as well, because the idea is to stop monsters from scaring children. So I know that monsters are going to come through these cupboards into loads of kids' doors and scare them. I could make the case that I don't want that to happen. I may be a bad guy, but I'll stop that. But the best thing is that now I have access to a bunch of very weird creatures that the human world doesn't know. So my group, like, the kids are asleep, I've been paid to babysit, so I've already got a little bit of money. But then when the monster comes through, because I'm at the door waiting, I've got maybe I just like arranged for the kids and the parents to take their kid out, and I put a fake kid in that house.
It's true, because
That's what I do. I don't do that at all. I don't even have to do a babysitting thing or that weird thing. I just have to just wait for I wait for family groups to go on holiday. I sneak into their house and I pretend.
Breaking.
You pretend to be a child.
No, I don't. Oh yeah, I could pretend to be the child, or I could put a fake child in the bed. Because it doesn't seem like the monsters know if the children are there.
No, but presumably they'd have, they'd be measuring. They measure like the child whose room that is, because like they've got all these files on those kids. And
No, that's what they're scared of.
No, because like
they know
their age, and they probably know when they're not there.
Let's say either one of my plan works. Yeah. But the thing is, the monster comes through to scare the child, and that's when I black bag that monster. Like, it comes through, it's getting ready to scare, and then suddenly a black bag goes over its head, chloroform, and the monster's like, and then I drag it out of the child's room. Presume the child's asleep; it won't wake up. I'll make sure of that. And then, so now I've chloroformed. I've got a monster, but it's actually like it's basically an animal no one's ever seen. So I throw that monster in the back of a black van and drive him to my specially made zoo. I kind of got this idea.
So you abandon the child.
Oh, that's true. No, okay. So the mercenaries take away the monster.
Other babysitters with mercenaries are available.
Well done, Scott.
You're welcome.
Seamless. But basically, I complete the babysitting because I don't want people to give my babysitting business 1 star. I need 5 stars.
Yeah.
And I leave my babysitting gig. The parents none the wiser, the kids none the wiser. But I've got now a monster, and I take it to my. Because, like I said, I got this idea from Jurassic Park episode that a new park called Monsters Park, where every cage is one of the monsters that I've managed to kidnap when they came through the door. I'm evil. I'm evil in this circumstance. I don't care. So I've got like a bunch of like hairy, giant, slug, squelchy monsters all in my zoo, and all I have to do to keep Monsters Inc. from rescuing them is just not have any door frames.
That's not true.
Are you sure?
Yes. The Abominable Snowman. When Mike and Sully get abandoned or get what is it called? Banished.
Yes.
A door appears out of nowhere into snow.
I I question this. I thought that door was always there, and that's part of the way they
Was it always
banished them.
there?
Because
No, because they.
But here's the thing: when they shred doors, like, what happens to the door in the like? Every door connects to a door. That's the point of that.
Yes,
whole
but that
scene
even
we
if
talked
it was there when the abominable snowman got banished, it had to get there somehow.
There would be.
Yeah, that's true.
There would be multiple. Plus, there would be multiple doors around like the world for like banishing.
Yeah,
because like they've banished multiple people.
Okay. So
this is in the middle of the Himalayas.
I just then have to make sure my zoo is well staffed with people who can keep the monsters in.
Yes,
and like Sully would go through a door presumably at one point, and I'd black bag him and take him to my zoo. But the point is, I'd make a mint from this zoo with these freaky monsters in it. Freaky to humans, normal to monsters, I should say.
How many monsters do you reckon that you could get
before
they realise that these monsters are going missing? And that, I mean, like, if a monster went missing...
so instantly if they go missing.
I know I could get, like, 3. Because let's say I take one monster first. He won't come back, and they'll send one through the door to go look for him. Yep. And then I get that one. And then there'll probably be a third, and I'll get that one too. And then I just have to... And they'll go, what happened? And they'll never know. They won't send monsters through.
No, but they probably wouldn't send monsters through the doors for a while because they wouldn't want to lose their best scarers.
It doesn't matter that one door is out.
No, but not just through that door, but they'd probably shut down the entire operation.
No,
they would shut down that
because they don't know what's happened. They don't have cameras in the child's room. They will never know what happens to those monsters. They just have to kind of give up on them and assume that something bad happened when they wait for the door. Maybe the door malfunctioned and it sent them to a limbo universe. Who knows? But the point is, every so often, I'm getting these monsters coming through these doors, and I only need like 10 good exhibits, really. And there you go. I just had to keep the Monsters Inc. people out, and I've got a zoo that people are going to pay bank to come and see. I'm evil, so I don't care that I've captured these monsters. It's dark, but it was an idea. And I apologise for anyone who loves Monsters Inc. and doesn't like the idea of Sully suddenly having a black bag thrown in his ear, chloroformed and taken away to be in a zoo. But
chloroform is a sleeping thing.
Yes, if you don't know, it's actually a terrible thing. It takes 5 minutes for. You know when they do it in films, they put like a chloroform on a white rag and then they put that rag over someone's face. Yeah. It takes 5 minutes for that to actually work. So those films are ridiculous. But something to like a dart that puts him to sleep. Now. And there you go.
But
that's
you'd
my
only
bad idea.
They would shred that door afterwards. So.
Yeah, but I suppose. But then I'll have friends. I can move house. And change the name of the family and do it again over again. That's true. This person's moved house 10 times and changed their name 10 times and has now got a zoo of 10 different animals that I've never seen in the world. It works though.
It does work.
Yeah, it works.
I'll give you that.
It's very good.
It's evil.
Yeah.
But it's a good evil plan.
It's a good idea.
If you're an evil... And I think leading on from that would be an alternate Monsters Inc. third film.
Honestly, we've just come up with loads of sequels for these.
Indeed,
we have
these franchises.
Sequels and prequels.
Which is what I will move on to just for a little bit. Now is just to quickly finish off our podcast. Well done, both of you. I think you both.
Who won?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's.
It's 1-1 at the moment.
Well, what do you think of my ideas? Well, my idea's better than your ideas.
That's true. Mark did win. I'll give him that.
Fine, the Watcher can win.
Yay! This might be the only one I win.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at 1 for
just because I had these good ideas. But as usual, we always finish off these podcasts with just a little bit of thought about. So it's called What If. So it's not about what if you two are in the universe. It's also asking ourselves. At the heart of all these universes is a what if question, a central question that someone must have asked, and then kind of helped build this narrative of the story. So in Monsters Inc., I don't know if you agree with this, guys. The central what if question the film asks is: what if monsters did exist? They had to come through children's doors and scare them. They had to do that. Do you think that's like the central question in the core of Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. at least, maybe not Monsters Inc.
I think. The question more is like, what if we were all monsters? And because like the way that the movie is framed is that the monsters have human qualities and have the intelligence of humans. So like it's more like, and they have like human problems.
Okay.
So it's more like, what if we were all monsters and we needed we needed the screams of humans to power our civilization or something.
To include what you said then, so Monsters Inc. is what monsters need to come through a door because they need our screams to feed their civilization and keep it going. Okay.
Yeah.
And that kind of works for Monsters Inc. In some ways it's a plausible explanation of why monsters would always come through cupboards and scare children, why they do it. And the monsters aren't evil; they're doing it. And they're scared of children, and they don't eat children, and only Randall and Waters are kind of the really bad monsters in the whole thing. So, but could we if let's take the core question again of like monsters need to come through children's cupboard doors and scare them, but change the second part. So it's not to power their world. What could be a different way of taking that premise?
Well, I suppose it's
that
just
what if premise.
Because they're monsters, it would just be because they enjoy doing it.
So it's like they're only doing it as
like a competition almost.
So like maybe they have
sport.
Yeah, like
sport. Yeah, like
so it's more like
Olympics.
so like you get points for how you scare the child.
Okay.
So like maybe like so like if you make them scream, you get like 10 points. But like if you like roll under the bed first, or
like the kid cowers, completely.
Yeah, or it's like
cries, things like that. And so rather
like,
than
kind of like the Olympics.
Yeah. So rather than a giant corporation that harnesses the screams, it's a sporting event where cameras are set up to watch what the child does and watch what the screamer, actually scarer does, and like then they raise those points cards up like they do in the Olympics. And that's the premise instead. Yeah,
because I think it's tricky with Monsters Inc. because I don't think any of them are evil per se. So I think the only reason they would do it is sport.
What about not the Monsters Inc. universe, but a completely different universe, but the premise is the same? So monsters exist; they come through cupboards to scare children. Why? But our new story is they're doing it to make for sports.
Well, then it'd just get a lot more intense, wouldn't it?
It's definitely a horror film.
Oh yeah, horror film.
Which is in keeping with this time of the year that this podcast is
2 days late.
Recorded. One day.
One day.
Well, we're recording it 1 day late.
Yeah.
Punch first in a month, no return.
It's after 12 o'clock. I win.
Okay. And anyway, going back to like, what if we flipped it and it's not about monsters? It's actually about, because one of the things I never understood about Monsters Inc. is that surely, because this has been going on for decades, why do did the whole human race have this idea that this is actually happening in the first place? Yeah. Or does like every child just forget that they were terrorized by living monsters for like the first few years of their lives? Yeah. Like, is there a point where two adults were sitting down with a beer and went, I used to have these dreams when I was like attacked by this monster in my
Other drinks are available.
Other drinks. I didn't even mention the drinks.
You did. You mentioned beer.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes, and don't drink beer. It's bad for you. Drink cola.
Exclusively slur.
That's my favourite drink.
I do.
Other slurs are available.
Other slurs are available.
Stop mentioning it by brand. We get sued.
Anyway, yeah. Oh no, unless we get sponsored. Slur, sponsor us. That's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We'd love to, but don't send us too many free samples. No, let's not go that way.
Send us free samples.
Yeah, but then we'll be up to our armpits and stuff.
That's okay. It's a non-alcoholic drink. It's good for you.
Yeah, but I can't drink that much. Anyway,
it's basically
back
a fruit.
to what I was trying to talk about is that, in a sense, rather like if the whole human race is actually must be acutely aware that their children are being scared by monsters all the time, then why wouldn't some children try to take revenge? Like, wouldn't they?
That's true.
Like, especially like, if you knew it was happening, you would be a father who goes, "Yeah, my son's going through the same experience I went through." And then he recruits his granddad, his grandmother, and his wife. We're tooling up, and we're going into this monster. Yeah. The monster that they wait, the monster comes through to scare it again, and then they take out that monster, enter the monster world, and then there's some sort of pitched battle on the other side where humanity fights the monsters who've been scaring their children all the life.
I would watch that film.
Monsters Inc. 3, there you go. Pixar Disney.
For commission.
The next one should be maybe
Monsters versus Humans.
Monsters versus Humans.
We will give you that Pixar for a very high commission.
For a very, very high commission.
Thank you, legal team.
Thank you, legal team.
You're welcome.
But there we go. That's a different way you could take the central premise of Monsters.
There would have to be a starting point where the people would go, I just had a bad dream. But then it just continues to happen over these generations.
Maybe you would start it in like the early 30s, where there'd be a bunch of 30s Americans or 30s British people or 30s Chinese people who are just like they're in like a support group, and then over time.
Hi, my name's Tim. I've been scared by this monster. Hi, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. And then it grows, and it's now like the way AA is now a worldwide thing, and it's incredibly helpful for people. And now in our universe, dealing with being scared by monsters is now a giant thing, and then people start to catch on. This must be real, and then a secret organisation exists to fight the monsters and get rid of them.
The MDA.
What does that stand for?
Monsters Detection Agency.
Yes.
The MDA, is it?
No, the M.
The Monsters.
He did say M.
The Monsters universe has the what was it? The CDA, Child Detection Agency.
Oh yes.
So
Monsters
MDA.
Detection, it makes sense. And then that's when your battle happens.
Exactly.
Make that happen. I don't think as a sequel to Monsters Inc. Some other film company.
A spin-off.
A spin-off. A prehistory prequel or set in thousands of years in the future.
We introduced a multiverse into it.
A multiverse of monster madness.
Exactly.
Yeah. There you go. That's a film title.
There you go.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before.
Yeah. It's a completely new concept. Totally off the top of my head. What if we did that and no one else is doing that?
What's the concept?
Well done. I think we'll stop there, guys.
Yeah, good idea.
That was well done for you two figuring out how to make the Monsters Inc. work for you, Scott, but also how to solve their issues a bit earlier.
And very well done to you, Mark. You also did a very
incredibly dark and kind of odd. Blackbagging a bunch
creepy
of,
is a good word.
But yeah.
Creative.
I really do apologise, but it's just one of the. I wondered why. I just wondered why no one really does anything about these monsters, which is clearly a long-lasting problem, and that's what I imagine someone would eventually turn them into exhibits, or government agency like the CIA or something would start kidnapping the monsters, interrogate them in order to find out about this monster universe. There we go.
Well, there we have it.
That's the Monsters Inc., Monsters U, or Monsters College, as I prefer, universe. I think we've plumbed the depths of it and found a new way to take the story. I think Disney could do that. Although, Ben, when you mentioned that other alternate story, it's sad, but that'd be a great film.
It would be a really good film, especially
Boo being time dilation effect, and they come back and she's old, and
especially releasing it now, kind of after Monsters Inc. So it's not trying to appeal to a new audience.
Yeah.
It's appealing to the mature.
It's somewhat nostalgic, but it's also just it's being sad about it. But also perhaps could be uplifting if they meet the Boo's grandchild and then the relationship starts again in some.
But I would much rather watch a war film about these monsters and humans than a sad film.
Monsters versus humans. Through the cupboard door.
Through the cupboard door.
I was just trying to think of a
title needs work.
It needs a tagline as well. Through the cupboard door. No, that doesn't work. Don't open the door. No. Hey, we'll
try not to scream.
Try not to scream. And try not to laugh.
Try not to laugh challenge.
Try not to scream and try not to laugh.
Yes.
It's both a comedy horror. It's kind of like Zombieland. It's a comedy horror. Humans versus monsters.
Well, there we have it.
There we go. Okay, guys. Anyone want to plug anything, Scott? Anything you want to plug?
As usual, Mark's book on Amazon now, very good.
Thank you. This part of the podcast is just an excuse for Scott to say so that I've got books and I like to sell some of them and I like to share the stories in them with people.
Christmas is coming up, so books for Christmas, please.
Yep, I've got my Stolen Future series. There's the Half Human series and my Alien Hunter Connor Jones series. Or you can look for them at www.mjury.co.uk. Ben, is there anything for you you'd like to plug?
Upstairs Studios on YouTube. We're doing.
Sorry.
You're just clapping me for everything. Shut up, Scott. Yeah, we're on YouTube. We're doing great. Currently working on Spider-Man versus Venom stop motion.
That'd be cool.
I want to watch that.
And yeah, so
stop motion and film wise.
Yeah.
Link in the description, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, we've got nothing else to say. Please go watch our other videos. Please like and subscribe to our channel.
And comment.
And comment. Specifically in the comments, put what you would do instead if you've got something more original than what we came up with. We want to hear those. Maybe we'll come back to them in the future and do a sort of redo episode, but with your ideas.
End of season special, whatever.
Yes, end of season specials.
Whatever a season counts in this weird podcast world.
It's the autumn season now. So yeah, thanks everyone. You've been great for listening to us. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
You're welcome.
It's time to say
You're
goodbye.
welcome for my presence.
It's time to say goodbye. So have a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Scott.
Sorry.
Scott, I'm trying to do this folksy ending, and the sound you hear is Scott being placed in that scream extractor machine and having his soul sucked out instead.